Keylocker is a turn-based RPG by Moonana, with time-based action commands like Paper Mario. It's a game with an off-kilter sensibility that mixes silliness with serious and unusual times, all set in a surreal sci-fi universe. You play as Bobo, a humanoid robot who is able to sing in a society where music is banned because of its ability to create electricity, which is tightly rationed by the ruling class and necessary for robots to survive. You start the game by breaking out of prison, but things quickly spiral into extremely strange territory that only makes partial sense in the moment. The story is at times too grandiose, with long and clumsily written speeches about the evils of hierarchy and exploitation, and characters never get as fully fleshed out as they could be, sometimes seeming to randomly change motivation between scenes. Despite all this, I enjoyed the story for the most part. There are several layers of secrets to uncover, and the game's Greek myth-inspired story about killing gods and tearing down society is often a lot of fun. While the game doesn't fully balance the serious and slapstick elements, it feels like what indie games were made for, a heartfelt, oddball story that could only have come from this team. My greater problem is with the game's exploration and story branching. There are a few quests I never completed because I walked around every available area several times and still couldn't find any clues. I would often walk back to previous areas because I couldn't figure out the way forward, and the ending I got felt completely random. There's an entire menu option dedicated to acquaintances that displays heart values for characters you know, but it only had 3 people on it, and nothing I did changed those hearts. A lot of story branches seem to be decided by what class you pick at the start of the game, and some story threads were dropped entirely in my playthrough, which made the ending a bit strange. It's possible I got a bad ending, but if I did, it was because the game is incredibly obscure about what actually affects the story. My fairly thorough playthrough took just over 20 hours, and it was still unclear if I was missing things or not. The battle system is complicated, but thankfully has some depth to go along with it. That said, explaining all of it is impossible in a review this short, so here's the basics. The game's turn-based combat takes place on a grid on which you can move, attack, or set up a counterattack. There's a skill tree that lets you unlock abilities and increase stats at the price of others. It ends up allowing for some powerful combinations if you plan things out right. Layered on top of this are the game's action commands. On standard difficulty, a perfect block negates all damage to your characters and allows you to counter, and a perfectly timed attack greatly boosts your damage. It can be hard to tell which enemy will attack next, especially when there are multiple of the same enemy type, which can be irritating. Unblocked damage is often deadly in only a few hits, so action commands are incredibly important, and while the timing is quite strict, it keeps the combat exciting for the whole game. It also helps that you can instantly retry any battle, so you're unlikely to lose much progress for a missed button prompt. There's so much more I want to say about the bizarre world of this game. The alpacas, the head replacements, the stupidly complicated way the world is explained. And ultimately, I want to say all that because Keylocker is interesting. It isn't a perfect game, and I would only recommend it to people ready for it to be difficult and a bit confusing. But for those people, this is a damn good time. Keylocker is out now on PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox Series, and PC for $19.99.